Good evening and welcome, Eternal Kernels, to the final night of our Eternal Kernel virtual pub crawl. We hope you've been able to join us during the week. We started on Monday night going back to the 1960s, Tuesday night to the 70s, Wednesday night to the 1980s. Last night we went back to the 1990s, and tonight we bring you to current day. We cover from 2000 to current day, so we're going to do 20 years in one night tonight, and we've got a lot of good stuff planned to talk about. So thank you for those of you who are tuned in tonight, and thank you for those of you, and many of you we have heard from that have been joining us each night of the week so far. We have two great segments tonight. Our first one is going to be on the Paddy Wagon. This is the only business that we're featuring this week that is still open on a full-time basis. And we've got Chuck Fields and Silas Smith from the Paddy Wagon. They'll be joining me in just a moment. And then on segment two, we are going to talk with Bryson Alford, Mayantha Perera, and Justin Waggoner. Those were the guys who brought you Jerzees back in the early 2000s and mid-2000s. We're going to hear from those guys about how it started and how it ended. So that will be our second segment tonight. And again, thanks for those of you who have reached out and asked why we're not featuring your favorite place. We're going to try to maybe do this again at some point, and we'll try to mention as many of the different local spots as we can. But we had to pick some to feature, and if we didn't get to your favorite place this time, maybe we will get to it next time. We definitely want to know who you are if you are tuned in tonight, and we're asking that you please check in with us and visit our site at alumni.eku.edu/pubcrawl. And there's an area there where you can sign in. We're filling in a map with all of the states who have checked in during the week so that we can get the map turned completely maroon and try to get all 50 states covered. So please check in. And while you're on that page checking in, you'll also see an opportunity where you can buy one of our vintage all classic pub crawl t-shirts. It's a virtual pub crawl t-shirt. It's got logos from many of the places that we've been talking about this week on the back. Those are on the site there, and you can order one of those. And also there's an opportunity for you to help support the mission and give to the students who are currently here at EKU. So we'll hope that you go by there and register. If you are watching tonight on Facebook Live, again, thanks for joining us. We want you to be a part of this discussion tonight. If you have great memories from any of the places we're talking about, or if you have questions for me or for our guests, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll get to as many of those questions and try to highlight as many of those comments as we can over the next couple of hours. So we are ready to get started. Our last night of the pub crawl, and we're going to go out in style. We start tonight with the Paddy Wagon, and we are very pleased to have the two guys who are owning and operating the Paddy Wagon right now. First up, Mr. Chuck Fields is with us. Most of you know Chuck. He's been with the Paddy Wagon for years. Good evening, Chuck, and welcome to the virtual pub crawl.
Thank you, Dan. This has been a great week.
Thank you so much. And then our next guest is Silas Smith, and anybody who's been in the Paddy Wagon in the recent months or days, I'm sure you recognize Silas and know him. Silas, come on in. Welcome to the show.
This has been awesome. This whole week's been fantastic.
Great. Thank you so much. And I know you guys have been able to check out some of the segments earlier in the week, and we appreciate that. And I kind of thought you guys might be at Paddy tonight broadcasting, but I like that you got away because it's probably crowded and the noise probably would have been a little too much for us. Let's start at the beginning, Chuck. 2004, is that correct, when Paddy Wagon started? Kind of tell us how it started and how it came to be.
Yes, that was the first one, down on Water Street. In the basement or the lower floor of the old Family Dog building were Wyatt's and Paco's. And I think Specs 50 years ago may have been there as well.
Yeah, and so you started it. Tell us kind of what made you start it, how it started, what the idea was.
Well, a friend and colleague of mine at the university, Greg Farrell, and I took a trip to Ireland, and it really changed our life. We came back. We had talked about opening, I guess, a little hole-in-the-wall faculty club where we could no food, sling beers, plot revolution, etc. And we went back the next year and came back and decided to open up an Irish pub. That's what Richmond needed. And we looked around, and as you probably, if you've been around a while, you probably know neither Greg nor I have any bar or pub experience. In fact, we have no business experience, period. But I think there was a niche. We fell into it, and it worked pretty well. We were at that location for a couple of years, and the building, well, the family dog was there for forever, and the building was deteriorating. So if we were going to keep it going, we had to move. So there was an opening up on Main Street. We went in there, and as you probably know, a year later, the fire struck and devastated. It destroyed everything. We weren't going to open back up.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was the thinking then? Because you came very close to just calling it quits then, didn't you?
Yes, we were we were financially, of course, ruined. A real quick aside here: the arson investigator that same day, a couple hours after the fire, took me over to the fire station and started asking me questions about the fire. Did you set it, etc. And like it was a perfect building to burn for the insurance. But when he saw the insurance I had, he said, "You must be the stupidest arsonist I've ever run across," because we were severely underinsured anyway.
Underinsured.
Old
Yeah.
wiring, but it burned, and there was a lot of support to open back up from our employees and from Richmond as well. And the Mark Kokenauer, who owned that building, had a building for us, the old O'Reilly's building, which he ran for years. And then that was in 2008. We moved there, and 12 years
Been there
later,
ever
we're
since.
still here. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Number one, the building that burned down, that is still a vacant. I mean, there's nothing there still, right?
Stay tuned. There'll be something there coming up, certainly within the year. By next
Oh,
year.
okay. Well, but it's been vacant. There's nothing been there
Oh,
since
yes.
since Paddy burned down, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of interesting that you were in the old Specs / Family Dog building, and then you're in O'Reilly's, two of the iconic bars that we've kind of talked about some this week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything, location is obviously
That's what they
important.
say. Yes.
And Silas, kind of tell us how you came to be involved and come into ownership with the Paddy Wagon.
Well, I never aspired to work at a bar. I never aspired to own a bar for sure. I actually went to Eastern for Homeland Security. I started the first year that they started that program. And while I was doing that, I was kind of seeing a girl that worked at the Paddy Wagon. So I was hanging out until she got off work one night. And there was a little scuffle. And my first business was a martial arts studio. So I knew my way around a little bit. But there's a little scuffle. So I got in my chair and kind of helped Greg Farrell out. He was working that night. And he was like, "Do you want to work here?" I said, "Sure." And that was 1,000 years ago. Went from working the door, then helping behind the bar with bar backing and stocking, and then went to bartending. And I asked Chuck one night, I was like, I've already had one business. I can help you count money at the end of the night so you don't have to be here every night. And then it went from there. And then fortunately or unfortunately, he gave me a key and said, "We're business partners." So there was a little exchange there, and I've been stuck there ever since. Not stuck there. It's a great stick. And I think the learning curve has been steep, but I think any of the people you've interviewed, most of us, everybody wants to own a bar until they own a bar, and then they realize, oh, I got to order like straws and stuff too. It's not just partying and drinking beer. So I think everybody that's interviewed this week when they started, they realized like, man, this is a lot of work, and it is, but it's satisfying. And so anyway, long story short, when Greg was phasing out, he had an opportunity to move north with his wife. So he was phasing out, and there was an opportunity for me to jump in, and Chuck trusted me enough, and it's been history ever since.
That's awesome. Let me ask this question, and I should have asked this at the beginning, but obviously it's an Irish pub, but how did you come up with the Paddy Wagon? Was it just a natural fit because you wanted an Irish pub as far as the name?
Interesting story. As you know, I'm a retired college professor. I've got a couple of degrees in comparative politics. In Northern Ireland, the politics, the troubles, as they call them, between the North and the South, the British and the Irish. I've always had a penchant for that. I read voraciously about it. And I like Irish music. And the Paddy Wagon, Paddy was a very derogatory name for an Irishman, 30, 40, 50 years historically. And a paddy wagon was the police wagon that went around in the city picking up the drunk Irishmen, stereotypically. So now it's not so derogatory. A lot of Irishmen call themselves nicknamed Paddy. So from my criminal justice background, I thought it would be an interesting, and it wasn't offensive because I made sure I talked to a lot of people. This isn't going to offend anyone. It wasn't, so that's how the name came.
Well, and it's obviously a great name because it sticks with people, and you hear people down. Patty, are you going down to Patty? Patty, they've kind of shortened it up even. The one thing that I've noticed about the Paddy Wagon, and one of the things that I really appreciate about it, and you can say this about other places, but not a lot of other places, is the mix there. You have college students in there and you have older folks in there. It's a nice blend, I think. It's not just a college bar at all.
That's very true. Greg and I initially, we never wanted a place like the current Paddy Wagon. We wanted, as I said, a little hole in the wall, small, that we could run. And it just escalated. When Greg left, Silas has really kept me grounded. I still wanted this neighborhood Irish pub. We have Irish music and Irish food and camaraderie, and I had all these grandiose ideas. We had the Wolf Tones come from Ireland to play a couple of times. Lost our butts.
Yep. Remember that one.
And I have, St. Patrick's Day, of course, is one day, but I would pick other days and have music and food, and couldn't get an interest in the Irish culture, the Irish traditions, and so forth. But it's Silas over the years, and he's been there. We've been in the current location, 12 years?
Yeah.
And you've been there at least 11.
11 or 12,
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. A third of my life I've known you, essentially.
Yeah. Well, you've taken several years off of my life.
Silas, talk a little bit about, Chuck has talked about what his idea for Paddy has been, and he said that you've been the one to kind of help keep him grounded. So kind of what is your idea or vision of what Paddy is?
Well, we are a college town, thankfully. We have a great college. So we are the demographic of really everything. We don't have a certain niche. So like during the day, we get the academics, we get the scholars, the professionals. All of Main Street, I think half the buildings there are lawyers, accountants. So they always come down, and it's an environment that they kind of feel safe. It's well lit. It's not, your dance club that you're going into. They know what they're getting into. You can sit and have a conversation, but then at nightfall, the kids know where they can come and they can get pretty quick service because we got that huge bar, which is, I'll be honest with you, that bar is not practical at all, but it's beautiful. But we just got to take a few more steps to get to where we're going. But since it's so big, there's quick service, and that kind of gets everybody coming back because they know they can at least pregame there or in their night there. And there's always live music. I think we've won best live music venue for the past 6 or 7 years through the Richmond Register. So I kind of keep it. There's not a niche in a small county as Madison County for a full-on Irish experience every weekend, but you look forward to it on, like, tomorrow's our halfway to St. Patrick's Day, our St. Patrick's Day, when you can actually go full out Irish. They really do. So we definitely focus on those as kind of that's our Christmas. That's our big day, that homecoming, of course. So, but the rest of the week, or the rest of the months, the rest of the year, we're doing all these other events from, you name it, we've tried it at least once, and focus on the food. And so we're just here, and we kind of ebb and flow. We go with the waves, we go with the wind.
Chuck, you mentioned a minute ago that you moved into what used to be O'Reilly's, and I hear Silas talk about the bar, and you guys had to do some pretty extensive remodeling because it doesn't look anything like what O'Reilly's looked like when you went in there.
No, they completely gutted the building. As you remember, O'Reilly's had no windows, but they completely gutted it, and Greg and I designed it on the napkin, basically.
Wow.
Not Silas last. neither of us were bartenders. But, oh, God, this is such a cool idea, this big bar. It's the least user-friendly for a bartender bar in the world. I realize that now. But it looked good. But I'm so glad I don't have to bartend.
Well, the layout's a lot different from the old O'Reilly's layout, but you've got the pool tables in the back and the seating on the side, so it's a nice mix of bar seating, table seating, pool. I mean, it's a nice, the layout. You guys did a good job on the napkin, I guess is what I'm trying to say, minus the bar part, perhaps.
Yeah. Thanks.
Talk a little bit, if you would, about, I know craft beers are kind of the rage now. Everybody's talking craft beers, and you've got breweries and all this kind of stuff, microbreweries opening up. But as I recall, you guys were one of the first, if not the first, local places to really emphasize craft beers.
So we're thankful to have one hellacious keg room. So we got 40 taps that are available to us. So of course, most places they can only have the staples, Mick Ultra, Coors Light, Bud Light, and maybe one other craft or a local brew, Country Boy or West Six. But thankfully, we've got so much that we can explore and get in. It does take about half of my brain power to remember who sells what out of all the 5 or 6 just beer reps, and then the pint night that we do on Monday. Getting that in is just a headache and a half. I think that's why I'm losing my hair just because of pint night. But yeah, there's. The good thing about us is that we do a lot of favors for our vendors, so they do a lot of favors for us with the swag and glassware and promotions, and that's because I generally, when it comes to buying these good craft beers, because I'm a beer fan, I have the propensity to not be able to say no to them, so I'll get whatever they're trying to sell me for the most part, and it's good stuff. The more I buy from them, they're going to give me the deals and the hookups on the rare stuff that maybe somebody down the road's not getting because we take care of them, they take care of us. But there's been some weird ones in there. I remember Ben Ramsey, I think he's the one that ordered it. It was Unibrew. I can't remember. It was Unibrew was the brewery, but it's out of Canada, and it was a 6-barrel, which is like the tiniest keg you can get, and it was like $400 or something. And I remember Chuck just like going up to Ben like, what the hell is this? Like, come on, pal, help me out. It was delicious. It was worth it. I loved it. We drank it, but it was just stupid on the cost. But yeah, we've got, I'd say about 30 of our taps right now are craft, if you will, or, local. We usually try to dedicate one to West Six and then one to Country Boy for sure. Support local, Ethereal every now and then. But yeah, it takes, it's a lot of moving kegs down there. I make sure I never wear flip-flops whenever I'm moving these kegs around because I know I'm going to lose it one of these days.
Well, having said that, in craft beers, I know it's certainly one of the things you're known for, but is there a specialty drink or a special drink that everybody kind of knows Paddy for?
Our Grateful Deads, which, spoiler alert, out there in the internet world, it's just an LIT with some raspberry in it. That's about it. Of course, Irish car bombs, which is kind of taboo to say if you're in Ireland, but over here, car bombs are the thing. They get the job done quick, if you know what I'm saying. We sell, even though it's German, I'll tell you a quick little story. There was about 4 or 5 Halloweens ago, our rep from Southern came in with a gentleman, and they sat at the end of the bar. And I said, hey, Rose, whatever. And she introduced me to this gentleman and shook his hand. And he literally said, thank you for putting both of my kids through college. We sell, as in the past 2 or 3 years, we sell the most Jägermeister in the entire state. So maybe that's partially due to me. I don't know. But yeah, so we, I guess we're known for our Jaeger bombs, but everybody's known for Jaeger bombs. But yeah, Grateful Deads, we do Irish trash cans, which is just a bunch of booze that we make green. That's anything that can be made, we can make it. So
you mentioned a few minutes ago some of the different promotions you've done and some of the other nights you've had. As you look back over the last 16 years or whatever, and last 11 or 12 for you, Silas, what are some of those special promotions or special nights? I'm sure obviously St. Patrick's Day is a big one every year, but anything jump to mind as some of the neat things you've done over the years?
Well, we do we try to spice it up mostly on like Thursdays sometimes, where it's like the weekends are going to take care of themselves. So we'll do like little black dress parties, and the girls love dressing up for those. We'll do like "Hello, my name is," like where you put the little name tag on your chest, but like we'll write it out almost like that restaurant called Dick's. We'll just write something stupid on there. Like I won't go into any examples online here, but mostly, and this is my passion that I kind of brought to the Paddy Wagon, if I brought anything to the plate, was, of course, our pub crawls that we do, our actual pub crawls. I turn those into where we donate about 10% of the proceeds to a different charity, and we try to make it local. We've done God's Outreach, Hope's Wings, the Animal Shelter. There's a lot of events that we do just off the rip or off the cuff. We help local families if they need it. I know there's a stigma with money coming from a bar, so we try to make it a little anonymous here and there. But those are the things that kind of come to mind first. Of course, New Year's Eve, that's always a good one. That's the one holiday I take off. So usually I wake up New Year's Day like, what the hell? But yeah, just all the philanthropy that we do, and there's a lot of people that come to us. We did one of my favorite events, and my cop buddies are going to kill me for telling this. We did a charity event for the Daniel Ellis Foundation about 3 or 4 years ago when Richmond Underground was still up the road, the laser tag place. So it was Paddy Wagon versus RPD. We went 2 out of 3, and Paddy Wagon won.
Yeah, I'm not so sure beating the cops at laser tag's a good idea.
Yeah, we made sure we were sober driving home.
Yeah. What about you, Chuck? Any particular nights over the years that you remember, or special promotions that stick out? I'm sure St. Patrick's Day is your big favorite.
It is, but there are a couple of things. I don't know if any of our listeners remember that when we were on Water Street, we had the first St. Patrick's Day parade in Richmond.
Ah.
I've got this old English Mini Cooper, right-hand drive, convertible, real small. And I would pull up out front, and I'd get 3 people to come out, 1 sat next to me and 2 sat behind. We drive around town, come back. 20 minutes later, we do it again. And we did that for 2 or 3 years. That was the Richmond St. Patrick's Day parade. And I started a pub crawl. I've always enjoyed them, and I've always wanted to be more involved. So we started a pub crawl. And the last count, I think the last couple of years, we close to 1,000 people, 900, Silas, 1,000.
Yep.
And we started the Paddy Wagon, and we had always 7 or 8, maybe 9 bars. We'd move every half an hour to the different bars. And that was always a real treat. A lot of fun. You meet a lot of people. And surprisingly, I don't recall us ever having any trouble. Silas, do you?
No, not at least, especially not on our premise. And usually we give the RPD a heads up of like what night it's going to be, and everybody kind of knows to police themselves. Me or Chuck always do a little big speech before it starts, like, just keep it together, people. You're grown ass people. Keep it together. So.
I noticed one of our viewers tonight mentioned, in addition to some of the promotions you've done over the years, you said something about the live music, Silas, but it's live music, it's trivia. There are a lot of other things going on that you guys sponsor during the week too.
Yeah, we have trivia twice a week. Really, and we have, of course, Pint Nights on Mondays. We have trivia Tuesday and Thursday. Keeps the crowd engaged and keeps them there. Usually Wednesday on non-COVID times, we got live music then. We have a DJ then. And then every weekend, I can't remember a weekend we haven't had live music. We've got 7:30, we got a band playing there right now. And again, tomorrow. And of course, we get live music on the big events, whether that falls on a Tuesday, St. Patty's falls on a Tuesday. We're going to have a band there, entertainment. We do the pipes and drummers, which is loud as all get out, but Chuck goes outside, so we got to deal with it inside. Yeah, I'm calling you out. The pipes and drummers, we've had the dancers in there, like traditional Irish dancers after the Celtic Festival up the road. It seems like there's always something going on. I know it's a cliche, but there's never a dull moment in that place.
Yeah. You mentioned COVID, and you guys are the only guys this week that we've had on that are still in business. So you guys are the only ones that we could kind of really talk about this. And I don't want to dwell on it, but talk a little bit about how it's kind of changed things. I'm sure I know it's been very difficult on bars, and even a couple of times, Chuck, I know that you guys have decided to close when there's been a widespread breakout in this area or whatever, just for the safety of everybody. But it's been a tough few months, I know.
Chuck, go ahead.
I guess it's right at 6 months.
Yeah.
We closed initially, per the governor's mandate, the day before St. Patrick's Day. And we had prepared, we had food, we had, it was really
couldn't have been worse timing.
Because
yeah.
That's such a great day. But it has impacted us, I think, in the 6 months. What, Silas? We've been open 6-7 weeks?
Since the second quarantine, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we had decided.
I was just going to say, I think the thing that's hurt you as much, or if not more, than the capacity thing is having to close early. That's a big thing, right?
We were talking about that earlier. Absolutely. The capacity we can deal with. I mean, the distancing, we got a great patio, a very large patio, but closing at 10 o'clock. Now, a couple of days ago, we could stay till 11. And we noticed last night, the first night, with that extra hour, people stayed, people came out. So give us one more, Governor Beshear, maybe 2 more hours. And we'll see what happens.
And I think we'll get there eventually. Silas, you were going to say something a minute ago.
Oh, we actually, me and Chuck and a few of our managers met the morning of before St. Patrick's Day to discuss what was going to happen. And we had decided, I think the vote was 3-1. Chuck was the dissenter, but we decided to close. And then about an hour later on the TV, that's when Andy popped on and said bars have to close. So we were barely ahead of the game, but we were a little bit. But that first run was a little different. COVID. After the first quarantine, everybody came back. It was recommended wearing masks. If I can wear a mask and run around for 7-8 hours, you can come in with a mask. But since it wasn't mandated, nobody came in with a mask. Right. What happens 2 weeks later? Boom, we're shut down again. So that was my spiel: was some Paddy Wagon is better than no Paddy Wagon. So put your damn mask on. So now they're really, they have to, because we have to enforce it. But that's been different. But you get, like anything, you get accustomed to it. After a day or two. So we're used to it. Our clientele is used to it. But like you said, we're the only ones that are open, having to deal with it, and it's been a headache. But it's a little better every day as far as planning and doing events around it. Our mask parade we still need to do. But yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned the patio a few minutes ago, and it is a nice patio, but that wasn't there when you initially moved into this location, or is it something you added when you moved into it? Because I don't remember there being a patio at O'Reilly's. Maybe there was.
No, I don't think so. Between the two buildings, the Paddy Wagon currently and the bakery next door, that small 12 feet wide alleyway, that was the deck where stairs going down. We expanded it once, expanded it again, and then one more time. So it's a very large area. But when the health department came out with the no smoking ordinance, initially they said decks were included. You can't smoke on decks as well. But I remember several of us going and, before whatever committee that was, the health department, trying to convince them that, hey, you got to give us something here. You can't, alienate all our smoker friends, relegated to second-class citizens. So they agreed. So now the trade-off was that we could open that extra hour. Remember when everything closed at midnight?
Yeah.
And they allowed us to stay open to 1 as kind of a consolation of not letting people smoke inside.
Yeah, I disappeared there for a second. Sorry about that. That brings me talking about what Silas said about it's easy to make the sacrifice to wear the mask once you get to it. It's kind of like the smoking thing. When they came out and said you can't smoke in bars anymore, some people didn't like it, but eventually they did it, and everybody came along because it was for the health of other people. And to me, the mask thing is kind of the same thing. It's not great, but it protects other people. So let's all do it just to help each other out. As you think about Paddy, and obviously it's been a great run. You've been open 16 years. What in your minds? What do you attribute the success to? What do you think has kept it so popular and made it such a regular spot for the people in Richmond and from the area all around? Actually, to be honest.
Silas, you answer that one.
Well, what does help, for whatever reason, we're the first on the Google search for people that travel in and out of town. So, and all the hotels, for whatever reason, they usually tell people, hey, where can I get a drink and a bite to eat? And they'll be like, go to Paddy Wagon. Even though a lot of people don't even know that we have a full restaurant. So there's actually, on that note right there, there is 2 different couples, and they both travel from Michigan to Florida, and of course back every year. And I guess the customer service is part of it, because I was working both day shifts those days when I met these people, and I guess just made a good impression on them. And it's been about 8 years now. They have stopped religiously every time they make Richmond or Kentucky their halfway point to sleep, and then they go to Florida, and then same on the way back. So a good impression, good staff, friendly staff, a knowledgeable staff. I think almost all of our staff is graduates, or they are still in college to get their degree. So knowledgeable, adult atmosphere. We don't hire kids. I tend to hire, the median 25 age range. That way they know what they're doing a little bit, and they can hold a conversation. And it's not just, I'm here to get drunk, I'm here to party. No, we got a job to do. Let's take care of our customers and make sure they're happy. I'm not happy. I'm not going home happy unless everybody's going home happy. That's from being on the floor standpoint. I'm sure Chuck has a little more philosophical things to say.
No, along the same lines, and this is something I think we're all especially proud of. Over in the 16 years, I think at one time I tried last year to count. We've got about 25 or 26 graduates from EKU that have worked for us. And we work around schedules. School always, from my background, of course, school comes first. And if you want to work there, we will work with you. Whatever time off you need, adjust your schedule as your semester class schedule changes. So we're very proud of that.
We've had
being able to do that.
Chuck, what was it? We've had 5 of our people that did the commencement speech or something like that. Is that right?
We've had several, yes.
Yeah, 5 or 6, 7.
Yes.
Well, obviously, we love the fact that you've had so many EKU people in there, and so many of them that are now EKU alums, because that plays right. You're just feeding them right to us, so we like that. We talked about, you mentioned the food a few minutes ago, Silas, and we talked about some of your signature drinks or things that you're known for. Talk a little bit about your menu and some of the food items that people like.
I love to. Like I said, there's a lot of people. I'll call out my buddy Joey Badgett, who's actually in Ireland right now. Friend of mine, he's been going to Paddy Wagon for 7 years. He didn't know until about a month before he left, which was about 8 months ago, that we even had a kitchen. So a lot of people don't even realize we got a full kitchen going on. And I mean, it's everything you want. But as far as our staples go, so what we do that's a little different than some other places, not knocking anybody else places food, because I eat everywhere, but we try to do as much as we can handmade ourselves. We season and patty our burgers ourselves. Our Guinness beer cheeseburger. So we make our own beer cheese with Guinness, the barbecue sauce, and bacon, burger, boom. Better come full or hungry, because you're going to leave full. Our fish and chips, which is, a European staple, Irish staple. We hand batter, or we make our own batter and then hand batter the fish. We use Rogue Dead Guy Ale, usually, or Guinness, to make that batter. That flies off the rack. Our specialty foods. So to answer your question, fish and chips, Guinness barbecue burger. You're gonna be all right. I don't think I've ever had a complaint in 12 years on either of those. But what really gets us going is like when we have our Oktoberfest event. So we'll do an actual like German cuisine, Jaeger Schnitzel, Wiener Schnitzel, sausage, pickles, pretzels, a lot of mustard on everything. And then Chuck, he's got these grandiose ideas all the time, and they do work, but they take a little effort. Like we've got a smoker, so we'll like smoke Cornish hens. what was we got is it Vietnamese, the La Cucachina? Is that what it's called? Where you smoke
Cuban.
the hog?
Cuban.
Mm-hmm. So we bought one of those. I think we used it once, maybe twice. But when we do like our specialty foods, like for our beach bash, we have a tremendous kitchen staff. Scott Rogers, he heads it, and he's been in the industry forever. He's been with us forever. So when he puts his mind to something, or when Chuck puts his mind to something, he doesn't half-ass it. It's all the way in. So any event, like a big event that we promote, there's going to be some kind of food or foods specialty that we put on there. And again, I got to call out my RPD buddies again. I almost on the menu changed the name of the cheese curds to like RPD cheese curds, because I kid you not, every time one of the RPD guys comes in there to have a drink, every one of them, there could be 8 of them at the table, all 8 of them will get an order of cheese curds. So I guess they're not that bad.
Gentlemen, not to go too far astray here, but a CNN thing just popped up. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Justice Ginsburg, just died.
Oh, that's terrible.
Tragic.
Yeah. 87 years old. 2020 has not been a good year.
No, it has not.
Almost over.
Yeah, cross your fingers. I was just thinking about some of this is your 3rd location, and I was thinking about some of the obstacles that you may face in your location. And everybody who's downtown talks about parking downtown. I would think that's probably the biggest obstacle you have, although you've got pretty good parking out back now, don't you?
Yes, we have our own parking lot, which we share with some of the Main Street businesses there, and Winks, the little diner down at the bottom, but still not enough. Parking in Richmond, as you know, that's a perennial issue.
What about, we had a viewer who wanted to know about the paintings out on the deck, and who did those? Where did those come from?
I just responded in the private chat. Kyle Isaacs and Aaron Proctor did the main one that is on the bakery right now. And then the other ones that showcase the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Paddy Wagon on the other wall, those are sketches that I believe your nephew did the sketches, and your nephew did the paintings as well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Rip Roberts, yes.
I don't think they're completely done yet. It's just been chaotic. I think we are going to border them in and hopefully make it even a little more aesthetically pleasing. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about the past of the Paddy Wagon and some of the great things that you've done. But as you look ahead, what are some goals or what are some things that you would like to do as the Paddy Wagon continues to grow and evolve?
Well, Chuck, should we spill the beans on our newest idea?
No, I think we better hold off on that one, but stay tuned.
There's some pretty big moves being made kind of as we speak. It's going to be, I don't want to speak out of school till we get our boots on the ground officially, but there's going to be some good things happening. And I know everybody's going to enjoy it. It's only going to further be an addendum to the Paddy Wagon and to the experience that everybody has already, which seems to be mostly positive. And so it's only going to be exacerbate that exponentially, I think. So, but as far as moving forward, as far as the Paddy Wagon goes, I've always went by the expression, don't fix it if it's not broke. Of course, there's always room for improvement on anything you can do. Anybody will tell you that in any business. But our focus right now, I think, has kind of been on our food for about the past year or so. New recipes, new menus. I think we've redone our menu. We add 2 things, take away 2 things, not overhaul it. But every 3 months, we've kind of tweaked it, like, okay, what's working, what's not. So that's kind of been our big focus, and our food sales went way up because a drink's going to sell itself. If you go to a bar, you're going to a bar for a beer. So that's already in your hands. That's done.
Yeah.
Chuck?
Well, and as you know, everybody has beer, everybody has whiskey, everybody has food. So we try to make ours not necessarily unique and different in every respect, but we try to make it at least aesthetically pleasing and tasty.
As you look back, Chuck, and you've been in it for 16 years now, and you too, Silas, this is for both of you, but what are you most proud of? Is there, I mean, obviously staying in business this long is one thing to be very proud of, but is there any one thing? Is it the relationships you built in the community and with your customers? Kind of what would be the one thing that makes you most proud about what Paddy Wagon has accomplished?
Silas, you go first.
Well, the Paddy Wagon, like I've been there long enough. I've got a 5-year-old, and Paddy Wagon has been more than generous to me and being able to take care of her. She doesn't want for anything, so that's good. You know, money's always good. So Daniel Ellis, of course, the fallen officer, him and Katie actually met there at the Paddy Wagon, and I heard this story. He never told me this story, but I heard this story from his buddy. Just like he met her, and he was like, "You're the one," and was like, "Are you hungry?" So their first date was like 3 doors up at Jimmy John's that night. So that was their first date, and history was there. But kind of the rapport I've built with a lot of the friends, like a lot of RPD, KSP, EKUPD, MSO, RFD. I think that all of them at some point have given me like a challenge coins, which I cherish. So just knowing these people, making tremendous friends, especially the people I work with. I'll include Chuck, sure. Those have become some of the best friends I've ever had, and even the ones that aren't there still. You know, I've been in many a wedding where they haven't worked there for 2 or 3 years, but we're still tremendous friends. And I would say that there's a lot I've shaken a lot of hands and hugged a lot of people that we've written some checks to for philanthropy just on our events, and I've wiped a lot of tears off of my shoulders from these people, and that is you can't recreate that feeling. And I'm glad that we are in a position to be able to help people in the community or, around our community with just anything really that we get behind. I think one of my favorites was God's Outreach. We did the backpack program. That hits close to home because a lot of people around me are teachers. So I know what it's like with those kids. And I live in Jackson County, by the way. So yeah, it's a poor community. So helping out with that, knowing that kids are fed, going home on the weekends or summer break, that was probably one of my biggies. So it's been a hell of a ride, and it's not over yet, but there's a lot more to do and a lot more experiences to create, and that fuzzy feeling when you lay down at night. Chuck?
Well, we've always tried to be good downtown citizens. I think all of us who own bars or who own the restaurants downtown, we're all in this together. Every time, well, as you mentioned, we were one of the few that's left. Every time a place goes under, has to close, it's a tragedy. It doesn't mean, we're going to get more business. That's not how we look at it. We're in it together, and that's why I always like the pub crawl. We go to the different places. Everybody gets introduced to the different atmospheres of the bars and restaurants downtown, and I think that's going to continue. We're optimistic. We had some long heart-to-heart discussions about, are we going to make it? Are we going to be able to stay open? And we've decided whatever it takes, we will be here.
Well, and fans of the Paddy Wagon are very happy to hear that. And you mentioned that most of the businesses are supporting each other in camaraderie. So each of you, give me one place other than Paddy that you like to go in Richmond, that you like to eat at or visit or whatever. One place. Chuck, you go first.
Oh my gosh. I would have to say Purdy's. Now, it's not a bar, but I spend the equivalent of a work week a month, 2 hours a day, every morning, sometimes 3, drinking coffee with friends, reading the New York Times. My conservative friends hate it because it's such a liberal paper. But Purdy's, and as far as another bar goes, I haven't done it much, especially the last year or two, but I used to like to make my rounds, go to every place downtown on a Friday night. Dave Billings from T-Bob's used to do that. He and Kurt Chapman would come and have a shot at every place. And I always look forward to them coming in. And we've got some great people in this town. Great bar owners, great restaurant owners, and, well, great citizens.
Yeah. Silas, what about you?
I just realized that, so Mayantha's up next, and I know he's older than me. Am I the youngest guy that's been on this virtual pub crawl, I think?
Well, Morgan, I think Morgan Robinson is a little bit younger
Yes.
than you.
Okay. I feel better.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I say that is because there was Mayantha came and worked for us for a little bit. Spoiler. But it was always, always a good friend of mine. We have a very symbiotic relationship, is what Chuck has been saying with all the bars downtown. There's only a finite amount of drinkers in the county or in the city, so you got to share them. I don't need everybody every night. Go there, support them, then come back to us, support us. Go there. But Mayantha, I'm not going to say it was annoying. That's too strong of a word, but it would be every Friday and Saturday night. He would text me. I'd be like, come up here, let's do a shot. So I'd sneak out of work and he'd buy me a shot or whatever. Then the next night I'd be like, okay, I owe you one. Come down here, and I buy him a shot, and then he scuttles up back to work. So I do miss Jerzees very much. That was kind of the place that I would go to just for a drink, since I knew the people. But since they're gone, I'll give you a restaurant and a bar, Nuevo, I'm sorry, and I say that only because I think Richmond would have starved during quarantine without them feeding everybody. And then as far as bars go, that I don't really like the club or busy atmosphere. Rayla Phoenix over across the railroad track, she just opened a new location, BBH, Bluegrass Grill House. That's where I can kind of go and chill and just relax. That's it. Yeah, no,
and those are all good choices and good things. And you mentioned our guys are standing by waiting for the next segment, so we're about to wrap things up here. But I do want to give you each just a moment to share any last thoughts or any comments you have. We certainly have appreciated you being with us for the last hour or so and talking about the Paddy Wagon. But final thoughts or things you'd like to share with our viewers tonight?
We are so appreciative of our customers. They're such loyal customers. It's kind of funny. Silas may have experienced this too. When we do make our rounds, going to different places, sometimes we'll run across a regular Paddy Wagon, and they'll be visibly embarrassed about, we're just having one. We're going to come back to the Paddy Wagon later. But it's like, go, get out. That's what we're all here for.
I was, working at the pub, and you're kind of like on stage when you're behind the bar. Everybody's watching you, or maybe not, but you got to act, on point. I hated it when Kroger switched to like closing at midnight or 11, whenever it was, like years ago, because I'd always get off work and do my grocery shopping at like 2:30, 3 a.m. because I wouldn't see anybody. And now I got to do it during the day. And so it turns in from like what should be a 30-minute grocery shopping trip. I run into like 25 people that know me, and I might know them a little bit, but I got to have the same conversation, 10-minute conversation. So 2 hours later, I'm finally done grocery shopping. But you become a little bit of a local celebrity, I guess. But speaking of celebrities, we were fortunate enough. A few years ago, we had Tyler Childers has been to the bar. He's played there a few times. Just about a year ago, we got hand selected from Alex Raimundo and Ron White. Ron White, the comedian, they came there. It was a big event after the thing at EKU. So we usually get billed because we're still open, not like unlike the other bars, unfortunately. But we usually get top billing for some of these celebrities that come into town, and it's been nice to shake some hands and meet some of these people. There was. I didn't recognize him. One of the girls had to point it out. One of the Backstreet Boys, his grandma lives like in Lexington. He was there 4 or 5 years ago just having a beer. And like, of course I didn't know, but the girls were like, I think that's so-and-so, whatever. But it's been a pretty neat ride, pretty cool experience. Just every day is something new.
Well, for two guys who never desired or never really were looking to get into the bar business, you have both landed there and done quite well for yourselves. And as citizens of Richmond and friends and family from EKU over the years, we appreciate it, and we love the Paddy, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Chuck Fields, Silas Smith from the Paddy Wagon. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. We appreciate it. All right, that ends our first segment, the Paddy Wagon. Thanks to Chuck and Silas for being with us. We do want to remind you, if you're just tuning in, we'd like to hear from you. We want you to register, please. Go to our website and officially let us know that you were here. It is alumni.eku.edu/pubcrawl. And if you go there and register, we'll just be able to keep up with who's here and what cities and what states around the Kentucky and around the country are represented. And you'll also have an opportunity to buy our collector's item EKU Virtual Pub Crawl t-shirt. Those are available there as well. So please stop by there and let us know you were here, and also buy a t-shirt and support the university. We're going to have a good second segment tonight. I'm very excited about this. This one, I'm a little nervous about it too. It could get a little bit out of control, but Bryson Alford, Mayantha Perera, and Justin Waggoner are standing by backstage, and they are going to be our guests for our second segment tonight. And we're going to talk about Jerzees, which was the bar and club that they owned and operated for years. And we'll probably get them to talk a little bit about some other places. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the Paddy Wagon. So we've got a lot to talk about, and there's still a lot to come. Thanks for joining us. We want you to be a part of the conversation. So please jump in when we start back up again and let us know where you are, what class you are, and ask a question or make a comment on the program tonight. So our second segment is coming up in just a few minutes. We want to give everybody a quick break so you can run to the restroom, maybe refill your drink, and we'll come back in just a few minutes with segment 2 tonight as we go back the last 20 years of pub crawling here on the Eternal Colonel Virtual Pub Crawl. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. We are here for our final segment of what has been a great week, and it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully you have enjoyed it as much as we have. Just taking a little stroll down memory lane and looking back at some of those iconic establishments here in Richmond that have been part of everyone's EKU experience. And we started on Monday night in the 1960s with Specs and journeyed all the way through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and tonight, we've been talking about the 2000s, the last 20 years of downtown Richmond. First hour was great with Chuck and Silas from the Paddy Wagon, and I can't think of a better way to close out our week than the way we're going to do it right now. But before we get to our guests for the final segment, I do want to mention a couple of things, and I've said it a lot. If you've been watching a lot, you've heard it a lot, but I want to make sure I mention for those who may just be tuning in now or haven't been with us, we want to hear from you. Please check in at our website, alumni.eku.edu/pubcrawl. There's a quick form you fill out just to let us know where you are and that you're paying attention and that you watched tonight. And also you can check out our really, really cool collector's item EKU Virtual Pub Crawl t-shirts. They feature the logos from a lot of the places that we've been talking about this week on the back and the Eternal Colonel Pub Crawl logo on the front. So you can stop by there and pick one of those up if you want to add that to your shirt collection. Also, if you're watching tonight on Facebook Live, we want this to be interactive. We want you to be a part of the show. So if you have comments, if you have questions, if you'd like to participate, just put them in the chat and we'll try to get to as many of those as we can and share those thoughts on our screen as we go through tonight. And that brings us to our final segment. We've got three great guests. And this is going to be fun. Jerzees, of course, was open from 2009 to 2016. We'll get more on the specifics in just a moment in downtown Richmond. And we have the two owners and the manager from Jerzees back in the day. And let's start and bring them out. First up, one of the owners. And by the way, all three of these guys are EKU alums, I'm happy to say. Justin Waggoner is with us. Justin, come on out.
Hey, what's going on, Dan? How are you, buddy?
Great. Good to see you. Thank you for being here tonight. We also have Bryson Alford. Bryson, come on out.
Dan, good to see you again. Long time.
Long time, Bryson. Thank you for being here. And Mayantha Perera, all the way from Tennessee, is joining us tonight. Good evening, Mayantha.
Hey, guys. Good evening. Good to see you all.
AKA Chalonka.
Yeah.
Now, this is probably the first time that you three guys have been together all together at one place, even though you're not all here in a long time, right?
That is correct.
That's correct. I guess since we shut down, probably.
It's been a long time. We've all kind of went different ways, different, in the bar industry, we grew up, I guess, we moved on. So.
Yeah. And it's funny because we've heard from a lot of people this week that it's a young man's game, and it's one of those things that you can do for a while, but eventually it starts to take its toll on you. I'm sure that's part of it. But before we get to Jerzees, because I know all three of you, and Mayantha's now in Tennessee, but was in Richmond for a long time and still comes back because you've still got property here. You worked at the Paddy for a while, Mayantha, so I know you guys love the Paddy. Talk a little bit about some of the places now in Richmond, because we want to include as many as we can. Some of the places that you guys enjoy going and some of the things that you love visiting for a bar or food or whatever in Richmond. So what do you think? Just what are some of your favorite spots?
Well, guys, Wags, do you want to take it, Bryson? Or do you want me to go for it?
I want to hear from all three of you. So Mayantha, you go first.
Okay,
so
first, when Bobby and I was still there in Richmond, I think we loved going to, it used to be Sapphires, but it's not. I think Dave Stanek and Ken, who worked at Jerzees, have taken over. I can't remember the name of the place now. What is it called? Watermain, is that right?
Watermain.
Yeah, we loved going to Watermain. Then that place on Water Street or High Street, I think. We used to be Players, and I can't remember the name of it now. Gosh, I'm forgetting.
Copper Steel, man.
Copper Steel. Then
you have not been gone that long, Mayantha.
I know. I guess I'm forgetting all the names. Then Gillam's, love that place. Madison Garden, love that place. And then very recently, the Dreaming Creek Brewery that opened up just before I left, and loved that place as well.
Bryson, what about you? Where do you like to go?
Well, Dan, I am extraordinarily busy. And when I have some free time, I'm more like a hermit. But if I do go out, I'm loyal to the Paddy Wagon. Those guys, when I first cut into this business, and I'd had a bar for a year prior to owning this second Jerzees, the business in town was so cutthroat and so dirty. It was such a breath of fresh air to have a partner right down the street. So I tip my cap to those guys at the Paddy Wagon, and I'm so glad that they are still doing great things, not only at their bar, but within the community. So if I do go out, that is the only place I go. I will say that I'm very proud of the two guys that are partners at the Water Main. I have been there before. As you said, it's a young man's game, and that crowd is a little on the young side for my taste these days. But Kenneth DeGrant is my realtor, and I have done a whole lot of business with him in the last 12 months. So I celebrate those guys in different ways now. And of course, I can't believe I didn't hear Chuck or Silas mention this, but I mean, who doesn't go to eat at Casa? I mean, Casa's like the epicenter. That's the pregame spot. That's I don't see that changing anytime soon, you know, as far as food and drink. So those places would certainly be, I guess, where I would shift my attention if I were to go out now. When my brother flies in, who's also an EKU alumni, he always takes us down at Madison Garden Wings, because that's, I used the term iconic earlier. When you do it for generations and decades, and you have there's now a third generation Alford coming through that eats Madison Garden Wings, you know, there's something to be said for that business as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely deserve to give Madison Gardens a big shout out, because those guys, Tom and Steve, have been doing it for years, and it has been consistently good for a long, long time. And for my money, best wings in town, hands down. Wags, your turn. Tell us where you like to hit.
So now where I sit with my lovely wife and my child. So what's funny is the only place that us, I guess, old but young, trying to still live a day to have a nice cocktail other than a restaurant, I would say would be where we can take our child, our dog, would be Dreaming Creek, the local brewery. So we enjoy that. They do a lot of cool trivia, things like that. But like a lot what Bryson and Mayantha was complimenting, obviously you can't go wrong with Paddy Wagon. We try to still go there when they were doing trivia, have great drinks, food with the family. One of our favorite, obviously, of all time is Casa. You can't go wrong, like he said. But I now, since the business I'm in now, I have a lot of reps come in town. So they always want to say, what's local? What's the best thing? You can't go wrong with Madison Gardens. Clearly the wings are incredible. It's something different. So that's where kind of our attention, we always go from business to even just family and things like that. So.
Yeah, good choices by everyone. Okay, let's talk Jerzees. 2004, 2009, I understand, is when it all started. Kind of tell me, how did it start? Where did the idea come from? How did this kind of start? Justin, you go first.
I would like to go first on this, because how Jerzees originated from day one was a friend of mine in my fraternity, and his name was Jason Rector. Now, the deal was we were looking to put a bar in for 2 years in like 2007, 8. Well, Bryson owned Jerzees, the first Jerzees. So him and his guys, we used to party there. We'd go there and drink, hang out. So the first thing we were doing is doing our homework, trying to figure out where we wanted to own a bar. Didn't know anything about a bar, just saw opportunity. And next thing we know, the first person we talked to is Bryson Alford. And next thing you know, my buddy Jason, he graduates, gets his dream job. He's a fire chief in Illinois. He's still there kicking butt, doing great. Bryson and I hit it off, and all of a sudden Bryson wowed us. And I have to tell this goofy story because him and I were downstairs, pal, where Bryson works. We're acting like we're having a secret little meeting. We're just eating lunch. And Bryson asked us all these questions, why you want to own a bar, this and this. And it made us think real quick that we don't know much about owning a bar. We knew how to party and enjoy a bar. And Bryson kind of hit us with the reality. And what's funny is he asked us, he picks a piece of paper and he's like, pick a number. And we're like, what? And ironically, I still don't know how he even did this. It's really weird. But he says, circle a number. And he gives us like 1 through 7 or something. We like circle 3, I think. And then we flip it over and he says Y3. And it was like that wow factor of like, oh gosh, holy crap. So we laugh about it. We go on. Jason moves on. And me and Bryson, that's all she wrote to start the dream and the journey of our vision of Jerzees. And I think I'll finish one other thought here. And Bryson, you jump in. I think the biggest thing why I think where we landed in the location, what's funny, Bryson, when we first got together, started walking around town, we would bar hop. We would check out old T-bombs. We would check out all these different places, these great locations. And we would always take a little piece of something to say, we love this. We don't like this, you know, and we would try to say, if this was our bar, what would we do? We enjoy it. Clearly, we'd go in Lexington, all around different bar hopping. And the thing was, it's funny, the first place we talked about going was where Jerzees was today, right next to old Jimmy John's, where Paddy Wagon, the old one, burnt down. We joked and called that the Chicago Cubs of bars in Richmond. A bar would come, gone in 6 months. A bar would come, gone in 6 months. And Bryson's like, I don't know, man. That's a bad location. It's karma. You know, there's something's bad there. And then all of a sudden, an old realtor called and said, it's available. Me and Bryson jumped on it, and there she wrote it, you know.
Bryson, what do you want to add to that, Bryson? By the way, how did you pick the number?
It's just something I do, Dan. Oh, that's secret.
It's Bryson being Bryson. Sometimes he pulls a rabbit out. Sometimes I don't know.
If I'm able to read their mind just a little bit, I know they're my person. Justin, and maybe I probably have never even told Justin this. There was a day I met this guy, Justin Waggoner. He works down in the card office, right? Used to be down on, I think, on the ground floor of PAL, maybe up on the main floor or the first floor, whatever. Anyways, at that point in time, Aramark ran the card office at EKU. We always swapped it back and forth. So technically, Justin was an Aramark employee working in the card office. And here's this guy. Girls seemed to be drawn to the young man. He had a very charismatic personality. He's there dealing in the card office. He's doing business there. And he, I don't even, at some point in time, I guess they came in Jerzees. We probably had a conversation. I don't know. I don't remember any of that. All I remember is that I knew this guy was an Aramark employee and that I had interacted with him before. I go one day, and some of our former leadership had put my man on, and I'm not kidding, a hot dog cart. And it was upsetting to me because it was a foolish idea in the first place. And this isn't the dude you have out there selling hot dogs. Now, I never said that to Justin. It would have been out of character for me to say that, but it bothered me. Fast forward a few months, and Justin comes to me with this idea. And I said, okay. I was dealing with some stuff on my in my personal life as well. I'd had a son and realized how difficult it was to raise a child. I had a decent salary. Everything was going well. I had my own house, car paid for, living the American dream, throw in taking care of another human being. And you realize, okay, going to need a second source of revenue here quickly. So he presents to me this idea, and we already had a lot of the infrastructure done. So I looked at this guy, and I hung out with him for 6 months. And it wasn't something that we just jumped into. As he said, we had a realtor. We employed some people to go, and we surveyed sites on our own. We turned down a couple of locations. Some UFOs came into play, but that's a story for a different day. But that being said, we took our time with it, and when we built it, and I'm going to get this may bother Justin to say this, but I think it's a great part of the story. We built Jerzees on $15,000, $7,500 a piece. That was our personal investment, each man, to build that business. Now, obviously the way it started is not what it ended up being. So we reinvested a whole lot of money as well. But the story in and of itself, it just. I'm a few years older than Justin, but I looked at this man full of ambition, eager, charismatic, had all the right stuff. I was a little more weathered, had taken some beatings in the past as far as business goes, business ventures. So I was a little more textured, a little more prepared for what was going to happen. I thought, this will be a great connection here. And it was. So, the rest is kind of.
All right. And so the obvious question is, Mayantha, how did you come into the picture?
Well,
everybody needs a Mayantha, baby.
Amen to that.
What is that saying that he used to say? I was your Taj to your Van Wilder. Wasn't that right, Max?
Yeah, Mayantha. When I met Mayantha at the card office and he came in, it was like just light went off, and our joke from then on was of my brother from another mother, and we've never looked back. We used to even go into restaurants and places and be like, "We're twins. You don't see it? What's wrong?" And people would be like, "So," but we so.
Yeah. So the story behind that is I met Justin first, and I was looking for a place to stay. I was working at EKU, and I was looking for a place to stay, and Wags was like, "Hey, I got an empty room in my house. Why don't you just, move in with me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. That's great. I can move in with this 4 other Lambda guys." And, I'm just still, I was 23, maybe 24 years old at that time. I still want to party and hang out like the 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds, but still trying to have a professional life and while working at EKU. So I moved in with Wags. I lived with him for Wags, 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah, a good little while.
Yeah. And during that time, Wags and Bryson met. They ventured into this partnership. And Wags and Bryson both came to me one day and was like, "Hey, do you want to come work for us and do this?" I was like, "Hell yes, I would love to come work for you guys." And
like Tom Cruise and cocktails.
So I remember that first day that y'all opened, the first day we opened, 789. It was Wags' mom and dad's anniversary, and there was a comedy show that night as well. And I was behind the bar. That was my first time behind a bar and just cleaning dishes and starting to, learn how to make a few cocktails here and there. And then next thing I know, I was managing the place for the 2 of them. So.
Now, you bring up an interesting point, Mayantha. There was a comedy show that night. Originally, the idea was for it to be a comedy club, right?
That is correct.
Kind of talk about that, guys. How did it go from being a comedy club to just being a regular nightclub?
I think from Bryson, I'm going to speak a little quick here. Bryson and I, when we talked, Bryson's vision and idea was there used to be an old Woody's on the corner of downtown. Used to be a nice, known for lawyers, judges, steakhouse, kind of thing. It was really, I guess, the nicest steakhouse. It was actually even a little before my time, and I came here in 03. But our concept, what Bryce and I were going for, technically wasn't nightclub. It was more of I guess speakeasies, really what we were wanting, I guess you could call it. But to have an older crowd, get more of a 4:30, 4:30, 5 o'clock, get that, up to about 9, 10 o'clock. We wanted to have real lives and not be up till 2 a.m. and do all that. So the only thing we thought being different was, let's try a comedy club because no one else did it. Thought it was a good idea. And I think, honestly, we were just drunk and we all went to a comedy show once at Comedy Off Broadway and was like, what a great idea. learned that to do comedy, it was a whole nother ball game, and there was a lot more to that. And I got to give a shout out. I have to say, when we set that up, I thought how charismatic and how energetic I can be, from Bryson to Mayantha, all of us, none of us had it. We had to reach out to a Seth Combs, who was a very popular kid, and he's now a lawyer and doing well himself. But we had to have him as the MC, and he's a funny kid, but he had the draw and bringing people in. And Bryson, you want to continue on what you think? I mean, the vision there, what turned it? Because I want to say it was a good mix between him trying to do what he was doing on the microphone and entertaining. His friends would show up hammered drunk, hooting and hollering in the back, where most comedy shows are supposed to be quiet. And what's funny is, I mean, all of a sudden we had people wanting to dance and have a nightclub. So most of the people we knew was the college kids. That was actually our angle. So it really made sense to why not be a dance club nightclub. So that's kind of how, I mean, the vision, how that kind of changed.
Well, so funny how years, people, what they think, the way something went down. In my mind, the vision was never for us to be a comedy club. It was to offer comedy on Friday nights only, because nobody else was doing it. And I'm pretty sure that was Justin Waggoner's idea, but I could be wrong about that. But it's irrelevant. Long story short, we tried, and Dan, we worked hard at making comedy work in Richmond for a solid year. The last 8 months of that year, we gave away tickets for free, just so we could pay comedians to come in there, do a performance, and hopefully they would spend enough money at the bar if we got people in there. And it just, I'm not exactly sure. Sometimes businesses just don't work. The other part of that is it would kill our Friday night business as far as the dance club goes, because the comedy shows would end at between 10 and 11 o'clock. And then we'd reset and go forth with the dance club theme, or sports bar or whatever, if there was a game on or whatever. But it would absolutely kill our business. We tried. We weren't unsuccessful. We just learned. And, I always say, you never fail. You either win or you learn. And we learned some very difficult lessons with that. We did everything we knew to do to make a comedy club in this town work. I was satisfied with our efforts after a year, and then it was just time to just release the hounds and open the floodgates. So then we just decided to abandon that idea. We were able to donate some money to some good causes. We did some nice things over the years, nothing like what Paddy Wagon does, but we did do some nice things over the years, and we did donate. We tried to work with the fraternities and sororities in. We tried to make it like official fraternal or sorority events, so that we could just put butts in seats, to like halfway make it mandatory. Because comedians are always funny when there's more people out there. If they're talking to an empty room, they're just not that funny. So yeah, we literally we earned our stripes on that one. We did everything we could. I don't remember our ambition ever being a full-time comedy club, but my memory's not so good anymore. So I could be wrong about that. I just remember that we were trying to do that on Friday nights, just to be different and be unique and something to set us apart, and a place where we could blend both the, Richmond is their identity really revolves around campus. But we wanted to be able to blend in, as Justin brought up a cool lounge, Woody's. I've had several friends that had worked there previously, and that was a place for, I don't have a better word to say other than Richmond's elite, but for people where they could go into a quiet place privately and enjoy a cocktail, enjoy a night out. Andrew would fix them a fine meal. And it was to try to blend those two ideas together, was what my vision was. That was my concept. I could have been wrong. But I didn't what I didn't say earlier, and I wish I would have. I thought when I saw Justin Waggoner, I was like, okay, this is a piece of the puzzle. Mayantha Perera, I feel like the man was never celebrated the way that he should have been at Jerzees. Mayantha really, after the first year or two, when Justin and I were there around the clock, but after that, the final 5 or 6 years, Mayantha was the glue that held everything together. And I just want to make sure that that is said and that that is out there, because he is my man and he is my brother. We may not look alike, but we have the same mother.
You mentioned Woody's, and you're right. Woody's, Andrew is part of what made Woody's. The food was so good, and that was a big part of it. But obviously, once you made the decision to switch from doing any comedy and just going full blown nightclub, that's when it really took off and things started to kind of just grow.
That's correct.
And it went crazy there for a while, right? It was really doing well.
I mean, it first of all, I will say this. Justin and I underestimated the value of the business the first year, and we paid for it to Uncle Sam and the IRS. We organized in the wrong, and that was my fault. But I never thought that we would realize a profit in year one. I'd set up businesses before, and typically you don't do that. There was no way to hide this money legally, and so we learned a lot. Like I said, we learned a lot.
Can you mute Bryson at times? I mean, well, I think we're 5 years past taxes back then, but I want to make sure.
I remember writing a check for a new Escalade that was actually written to an IRS character, and it was crazy. So we earned our stripes. It took off very quickly. I won't say that we were prepared, but I will say that we adapted quickly. And Mayantha obviously was a huge piece of that. And I couldn't have been happier with the way things went. And when it was over, when it came to an end and those doors closed for the last time, I think all of us were probably ready, and I don't mean to jump the gun there, but it had run its course, and it was a great thing. It was a ton of fun and made a ton of memories. And one of my favorite things to do is to look, and literally every day, somebody's Facebook feed pops up from one of the hundreds of people I knew that were regulars there, and they're like, "Take me back to 2012," and it's they're at Jerzees with a group of their friends, doing whatever, celebrating a birthday or bachelorette party or whatever. And it just it's still like it's great. It's great to see that.
Mayantha, we've seen several of the viewers comment on it, but you were the man behind the bar, and certainly one of the things that Jerzees was known for was the Jersey bomb. Tell us about the Jersey bomb.
Okay, so the Jersey bomb, that was an idea that Wags and Bryson developed, and they came up with where they'll have a colored vodka where they would pour it into this little bomb cup. It's like, so the bomb cups was designed so that there would be like a 0.75 ounce of shot that can go in the middle, and then the outside of it, you can put the energy drink in it, right? So they decided to have different colors of that. And it first started as the maroon. Bryson, correct my memory. It was the Colonel bomb, the Colonel something, and then
he's butchering the whole thing.
He is. Let me help you, Mayantha. I want to chime in because part of this, I think, even from history of everything, from all of us as friends and everything, business. So Dan, the original thing when we transitioned from comedy to all this other stuff, figuring it out, when we became a dance club, there were still things missing, like Bryson said, because you try to, when you own a bar, you want it to, you try to capture the night, obviously, from a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's where you make money, because if you don't serve food, it's hard in this bar because it's not like your spring break. It's not like you're going down to Florida seeing different people. Your bar is going to be packed out every night. You have to really work hard and be very strategic, be very smart. Hiring, or I'm going to throw this out there. We should have brought Mayantha on as an owner, no joke. But the fact of it is, Mayantha, guys like him and some of the people that we hired, they strategically helped our business grow. There was so many people from day one that we had that knew so many people out there. So here's where I'm going with this. The Jersey bomb really got created, and all the credit in a way is really due to Bryson Alford. But the big but there, as a team effort, Mayantha to myself to Bryson, we all sat there and kept saying, what's the power behind? We kept saying the dollar menu. The dollar menu at McDonald's to anywhere. What can we do? So I will never forget this. We're at the bar. We're hanging out. It's 10 o'clock. Bryson gathers everyone up in huddles and says, I want everyone right now to 10 friends. You text dollar Jaeger bombs. It actually started with the Jaeger bomb, which we were losing money. Mayantha loses it. He goes, no, what are you talking about? We're going to lose money, Bryson. Bryson's like, I got an idea. So then after the Jaeger bomb took off and people were like, dollar Jaeger bombs, how are they doing? This is crazy. We lost money. We got made fun of because people would say we were trying fake Jaeger to this, all this bull crap. Point being, to make it something great to have high energy, we wanted the energy drink. But to make it where the girls would drink it and everyone else liked it, even guys like Mayantha, fruity drinks, then we would be able to. So we would be able to have everybody do it that way. So from my remembrance and everything, we hammered down as a team to figure that out and make it work. And then all of a sudden, we became actually the number one in the state of Kentucky UV seller of UV vodka. We were the number one. The only time we got beat out was from when John Wall was playing basketball at UK. Up at Tukey's up in Lexington was the only time, because people would do the John Wall and they would do the shot. They beat us in UV. Other than that, Jerzees held it for 7 years, or 6.5, 7 years we were around.
So that's accurate.
Thank you.
Here comes the butt, though. Here comes the butt.
I'm angry at Mayantha because he has a master's in business. So this was about a loss leader. Okay.
Yeah.
We had hit our 6-month wall where we open up. Everybody wants to come to the new club, right? So we'd been open for 6 months. Business starts to dwindle. Now, I had done this before, so I knew that once business, and it happens to everybody, once business starts to dwindle, it's time to get, better to be proactive instead of reactive. So that's what started this whole thing. I had an idea about Jaeger bombs were extraordinarily popular at the time, and everybody's charging $4 or $5 for them. Well, you buy these bomb cups. I knew a website where I could get them very cheap. And we would buy them by the gross, 1,000 at a time. And at that point, they cost like 7.8 cents a piece, right? They have a 7/8 vessel in them of a shot. So it's not even 1 ounce. I'm sorry, 7/8 of an ounce vessel inside. You fill it with about 2 ounces of energy drink, which we had also put on the gun, which was another new and exciting thing that I'm sure people are doing it now, but back then they were not. So now we're turning our loss leader, because when we were initially pouring shots, we never had Red Bull, but I think we had Rockstar. I don't remember what it was, but anyways, we were hand pouring these shots. The dollar Jaeger bomb probably cost us $1.05 after, we sold it. Within weeks, the dollar Jaeger bomb probably cost us 80 cents. So now our loss leader is actually still profiting 20 cents. But the whole goal, the whole agenda for all of us the entire time was to teach people that Jaeger's okay, but what's really fun is this flavored vodka in this energy drink. This is what's really cool. And that we could buy 30 cases at a time for about 1/5 of the cost of a bottle of Jaeger. So the whole agenda, the whole objective the whole time was to get people, it was a draw to get them to come in for dollar Jaeger bombs. Once you got them in the door, then you really started marketing the cheaper dollar Jersey bomb to them, which we always knew they would like more because, quite frankly, it tasted better. Same alcohol content, or roughly, and then now you have them. Now you have them on the draw. And as Justin said, it's always about, if you're a bar and you're being competitive, capture the night. You got to figure out how to capture the night. So that's the story of the Jersey Bomb.
There you go. Sorry, guys. I totally butchered that up. I went the wrong way trying to
Mayantha. You disappoint me still.
I'm sorry, I'm getting old and I'm forgetting things. I'm forgetting all the streets in Richmond, all the restaurants in Richmond. I really need to move back.
Yes, you do, but that's a different subject. All right, let's talk about some of the promotions, some of the things, because I know you guys had some success with your Tuesday night karaoke, some of the other things that you did. Kind of talk about some of the things that help bring in people.
Yeah, so Tuesday night we did karaoke, and Ken DeGrant and Jeff Sivers, they helped a lot with setting up the music and emceeing that and bringing and making sure the music was playing. But also Tuesday night, this was a mistake, and when Bryson and Wags found this out, they chewed me off. We were doing 2-for-1 drinks on Tuesday night, right? So everything, LITs, Jersey bombs, Jaeger bombs, everything was for 2-for-1.
Hey, and if I remember correct, that was your idea, right, Mayantha?
Yes, it was.
Right.
And, yep. And we were also doing fireballs, 2-for-1 as well. And we were selling Fireball off the shelf really fast.
I think we're the one that introduced Fireball to Kentucky, to be honest with you.
You're probably right.
I mean, good gosh.
Yeah. So then Wags and Bryson were like, why are we selling so much Fireball on Tuesday night? I was like, well, let's 2-for-1. I'm selling everything.
Yeah, so to be clear, Dan, Tuesday night was our night off. That was Mayantha's party night, That's how we found out it just blew up.
True story.
Yeah, Mayantha's got no shirt on. He's there. He's doing dances.
And I would
we walked in one night and we're like, what the? This is bigger than Friday and Saturday. I mean,
normally, myself and Wags, or both of us, had to be there very early on Thursdays because of the amount of destruction done to the bar. So you're always rebuilding, right? I mean, anybody that owns a bar understands. You're always patching holes. You're always fixing toilets. You're always doing crazy stuff. The amount of destruction done on a Tuesday night when we did $400 worth of business versus a Saturday night when we did $4,000 worth of business was always the same. It was always the same.
And what's funny is on a Tuesday night is when I met Bobby, my wife. So, she loved coming there for karaoke and those 2-for-1 fireballs. But yeah, the Tuesday night was really great. Then did we do any more specials on Thursday, Friday, Saturday? I can't remember, guys.
Dollar
we
Bomb
did
was our special.
Yeah,
the Dollar Bomb. We tried the fish bowls though. We did that was pretty successful.
Yeah.
Fish bowl.
That was a good one.
But that was $5-7. But then that kind of dwindled out because people just I guess the Jersey Bomb just But
well, that and the fish bowls took up too much real estate on our shelves, so we just kind of stopped getting them.
And not only that, the kids were stealing them like crazy. We would have like 100. And at the end of the night, we would only have 25, and those things were expensive to buy. So.
And something on that note, I want to make a comment, which is very cool. When you talk about memories and you talk about when you create a bar, have it with your friends, and you have something worth talking about in memories. I'll tell you something was really neat. When I had the bar, my mother went home and she was seeing a new dentist. And when she was there, she'd always tell him stories about me, how proud. Say what?
Romantically?
No. Jesus. No. No, my mom and dad.
Well, you said that, James.
No. I mean,
that right out there.
My point. She'd go get her teeth. Talk to him. They, just talking, and it was funny because she'd tell him how proud and all this, bragging on me about Jerzees, this and this. Well, this guy's nephew, because my parents live up in Ohio, So this guy's nephew was like up in, I think, Ohio State or somewhere. And he goes, which is out of state, you know, up in whatever. And they're hanging out. I guess they're there for the weekend visit. And he goes and looks on his shelf, and he's got this bar and this little display. He sees a Jerzees shot glass. He goes to his nephew and says, "Hey, where'd you get that?" Because he remembered my mom telling about me having the bar and all this. And he says, "Oh, man, my buddies go to EKU, and I went to this bar. It's called Jerzees. Yeah, we stole the glasses. Dude, we had a great time." And when you hear stuff like that, it makes it feel real special and feels great, you know. So it was just kind of neat. So when Mayantha said people stealing glasses, we never cared that anyone stole any glass. It's free marketing. It sat on shelves. We knew kids took pride in it. And honestly, it felt really good. It was pretty cool. The only part that sucked, we always had to buy glasses and stuff all the time. And we got smart. Instead of using actually glass, we went to plastic instead of our door guys, poor guys, bless their hearts, sweeping up all the glass every night and being a trip hazard.
Now, the best part was that
it is, buddy.
the best part was that Mayantha said the kids were stealing the bowls.
Yeah.
He's grown up now. It was the kids that were stealing the bowls.
You know, there's not a lot of 25-year-olds that still appreciate dance clubs in a small town, Dan. We had to work with what we had.
And now let's talk about the Jersey Bombs take off. You've made the commitment to a dance club, nightclub. Talk about what it was like when you were in your heyday and it was really booming. I mean, tell me what a typical night was like in there. It was packed, right?
Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
And it was a pretty good run there of being packed. It wasn't just like packed sometimes. You had a pretty good run.
I remember, Dan, and I can tell you from experience, when we had the first bar, you had peaks and valleys, plateaus. And it was, you would get so nervous because, of course, you have overhead, you have bills, you have staff you have to pay, you have to buy alcohol. You have to, you know, you can't just, it's not an accounts payable situation with alcohol. You pay for it up front. You know, your bar has to make money. And the first year that I was in a bar prior to Jerzees 2 there, we battled the same up and down, you know, highs and lows, and doing great. And then just the business goes somewhere else for several weeks for whatever reason. We, like I spoke about earlier, we opened up the doors of Jerzees, and you know, you knew as soon as you opened up that you were going to be fine for 3 months, a couple of months, because you were the new place in town. Everybody had to check you out at least once. And love that picture. After we implemented the Jaeger bomb and then into the Jersey bomb, it was the capture. It was the hook, and we had them. And there was never a night after that I ever worried about our ability to pay our staff, to pay our bills, to pay each other. It was just, you know, you didn't know how much money you were going to make. You just knew that you were going to make enough. So it was, we were very blessed. I think the years and years of patrons, the number of people that we saw come and go from Eastern's campus with college degrees in hand, friends on Facebook with most of them, watching them develop families and their own stories, knowing that they met and had nights together at our place, that they came and found our environment, although wild and crazy. It was, sorry, my dog's just alerted somebody, noting that they found our place safe, and were able to come there, have a great time, be wild and free, and still find a way back home and back into each other's arms, and go on from there after they left the confines of Eastern Kentucky University, and go and do great things and build families and tell stories. And it's priceless to me. I can't tell you. It's every time I hit a scroll on Facebook and I see somebody's memory from 10 years ago, it's absolutely priceless to me. It doesn't even have a value. It's indescribable.
So with that being said, what Bryson's talking about there, I want to jump on that because I've been really blessed in my other business that I have. I've had a lot of 80 pies, and those girls come work for me in my store, on the pool store here in Richmond, American Pool and Spa. And the thing is, those girls, what's cool is they've been awesome because they always brag about Jerzees, and some of them have never even stepped foot in Jerzees. They've had so many girls and people still talk about it. And I have to say, Mayantha is the one, once again, Mayantha, that grabbed and, pulled all those girls in. Me and Bryson would laugh and be like, they would all come in and be like, where's Mayantha? Where's Mayantha? And we always would crack up because, I mean, he knew how to do it. And it was awesome because everyone loved Mayantha, so friendly. And I mean, it's just cool to hear everyone say how much, like Bryson was saying with memories. And even I remember one of the most biggest moments I had, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he worked with the, not alumni, but the, I think the sporting events and stuff, did like with the sports at EKU. He came to us on graduation and he gave me a hug and cried and said, some of my best memories in college was at your bar. Thank you for everything. And we shared a shot, did a shot, and I was like, stuff like that is just really cool, man. It's just kind of pretty neat, that those kids think about that and think of your place like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know how it must feel because you guys are part of something special, and that doesn't happen to everybody in life, and it doesn't happen a lot in life. So the memories are what's important. We've kind of talked about how it started. We've kind of talked about the heyday. And there's Mayantha behind the bar. That's a great shot. But I think we do need to talk a little bit about how it ended or the end. And I think and Bryson, you said it earlier, it ended and it was probably time for it to end. It had its run. But the big thing, the fight, and everybody remembers the EKU UK football fight. And I think that was kind of the beginning of the end. Am I right?
I would say to the public, but behind the scenes, a little different.
Yeah.
There had been, and I don't know, this is going to be difficult for me to say. There was a time, things, everybody's life changes and we all go through peaks and valleys and so on and so forth. There was a moment we had a New Year's Eve. It was the same year. So this would have been, I guess, New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2015, going into 16. According to what I saw, I don't even know when the bar shut down, but I saw somebody said February 2nd of 16. Anyways, a young lady was in a car and perished in a car crash. And I don't know all the details about it. I know that she had a hand stamp, and that hand stamp was recognizable. And that was a very difficult moment for me, talking to a detective. And that was an awakening. The bar business is bar business and people make their choices. It wasn't anything. I don't want to go down that road at all. It just was the fact that maybe I had come to a crossroads in my life and this was not the level of liability I wanted to assume any longer. I can serve somebody a bad chicken sandwich and they can, have food poisoning for a few days and I won't lose any sleep over it. But I always really loved the way that our team was mostly compassionate and caring, and that Justin, Mayantha, and myself cultivated an environment where we wanted to teach these young people a new trade, a new skill, and pass that along. We all knew they weren't going to be bartenders for life. They're in college. We never employed anybody that wasn't in college. We all, they're not going to be, career bartenders. We knew that. But the
Except for
skills,
Clayton Ward, we had to tell him to move on.
right? Yeah, that's true too. But skills they can acquire, and the things they see when you're working with the public at a very rapid, high pressure cooker environment. It literally it changed my life doing that at a young age, and I wanted them to understand what the value of what they were learning was. I say that to say this, we had a great run, and that was something that I never wanted to see again. The fight that you're referring to happened a month after that. I will take full responsibility for that becoming national news because I had an angry mother come to me about the footage, which we had. I should have consulted my partners and probably a lawyer before turning that footage over. I did not. I gave it to her, and it was what it was after that. Unfortunately, the boy on our side was the aggressor in the incident. He just ended up on the losing side, much like our football team this year. So
hey, it's still early. It's still early.
Yeah, man, that's
It's still early, Bryson.
Dan, and I you're right. It's still early, still hope, right? They're
Yes.
still adding games and all kinds of exciting stuff.
Yes.
But the fight was that it happened. It was over in the blink of an eye, and these things happen in this type of business. Very unfortunate, and I didn't expect it to make national news. I'll just say that.
So I'm going to always chime in and plead the fifth. I was not there. I wasn't part of anything. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. So as a bar owner, I think one of the biggest stresses is when you have to go home, try to relax, sleep at night, and not have to worry about your bar. Because when you have a successful nightclub, one of the biggest things is ABC is on you. I mean, that's just reality. And alcohol beverage control. And I have to say, I don't care what anyone says to anything. Jerzees was never drug infested. We were never bad people. We never tried to overserve. We tried to run a legit bar. Now, overserving, yeah, that's questionable. The fact, did people drink, get drunk, have fun? Absolutely. But we paid for several taxis, did we not, guys? We would put people in cabs. We would do the best. We even bought a limo to take people home. My point is, out of negligence, whatever you want to call it, I think that the tipping point there behind the scenes, they were pretty heavy on us regardless. I think the end we knew was kind of coming. And Bryson said, I think there was moments regardless that we all knew that we had, like joking when I said from day one, we have to grow up. It's time to move on. And Bryson, I have to say, told me some of the best advice from day one. He said, the bar is not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. We're going to be here. It's short-lived.
I gave it 2 years.
Well, 2, but we succeeded into almost 7. So the thing is, I have to say about the fight, though, because people probably want to hear the juiciness, is, like Bryson said, if we never turned over the footage, the reality is if it never happened in the dorm room where they saw the most famous fight and hit and the kid got knocked out, we probably would have never gotten in trouble, because the real story behind this was Justin's in bed. He wakes up the next day. I hear there's a fight. We just heard it was a fight. No big deal. Mayantha was like, no, I don't know. Nothing, no big deal. Bryson even said, tell me if I'm wrong here, guys. Bryson even said, the police came, looked at it, said, no big deal. Who cares? They got in a fight. It's over with. Moved on. Nobody was saying a word. No one cared. Next thing I know, Monday hits, 8 a.m. My phone's ringing. I'm at work. At the time, I'm a social worker. I am answering phone calls. Next thing I know, we all talk. Bryson, Mayantha, don't answer the phone, because we have every news station, everyone calling. And I'll never forget, Bryson's right. We made ESPN. And what's cool is I get a phone call from a buddy in Florida that says, why is your bar on ESPN? I said, what are you talking about? sends me the screenshot.
I got a
says,
call from a cousin in California that saw it on CNN, and I was like, "How is this CNN news?" Crazy.
And
what's
the best
funny
part
though,
is this. And the best part is this: I walk into work and housing at EKU, and Kenna Middleton calls me out at 8 a.m. in the office, asking me what is going on, Mayantha.
so the news is calling. The news is wanting to hear everything. They want to know. And the only reason, because the headline read, UK, 2 rival schools, University of Kentucky and EKU. Well, it's not probably the biggest rival, let's be honest, but it said rival schools in Kentucky battle it out in a bar scene. And the funniest part to this is we got overshadowed pretty quick, though, and it disappeared, because that's when that whole Vanderbilt thing, national news hit, and there was a bunch of stuff with some other things at another campus, and then it went away. But locally for us, we obviously made a big hit because of UK, everything going on. But like I said, the fight, I think that was, to me, that was the icing on the cake, where ABC looked at us and said, guys, I think it's time for you to close it up and move on. And the funny thing is, and Bryce, I don't know if we should say this, but it is what it is. We looked at each other, and we were in a little ABC courtroom, and we sat there and wrote a big check to say, do we hang out? Do we do it again? And we actually got one more year out of it, and then we were done. Well, 8 months to a year, I think, is what we got. But, that was pretty much, I think, the move on from life, and I think it's time to go.
Hey,
right.
All good things come to an end, right? And it,
right.
It had a great run. We're almost out of time. Almost out of time, guys. So I do want to just give you a chance. As you look back on it, it was a great 7-year run. Just your final thoughts on Jerzees and that experience and kind of what it's taught you about life. And I don't care who goes first. Justin, you go first.
One of the biggest things it taught me is not just with friendship, but personally in my life. I think one of my biggest advices and things I've got to take with me is, no matter what in life, where you're at, what problem happens, you recognize the problem, find the solution. And that's always my big quote, my go-to in life, that I say, no matter what comes, because the bar life is always, every night it can be something. So if you recognize, the problem, you kind of just focus on a solution. That's all that matters. That's kind of one of the biggest things. But I want to share one memory that I think I have to say is probably to this day one of my favorite. And it's not what anyone's going to think crazy off the wall. It was after, I think, about 3 months, and it really maybe been even sooner. We kind of got our heads wrapped around what was going on. And we had an evening where the bar shut down. We're done closing, we're cleaned up. The only people in this bar was myself, Bryson, Mayantha, and a guy named Chris Oberfelt. That was really one of the biggest shout outs, the help to got our business. And he works at EKU. He's one of the maintenance guys, main electrician. Big help in getting our bar up and going. What's funny is this same night, we are being very strict with our door guys. We say, listen, we need you guys to, when the doors are shut, the doors are locked, people can't come in, they got to go out. So our door guy's at the door, he's pushing people out. He's like, get out, get out. Chris is knocking on it, trying to come in. And the guy's like, you can't come in here. And Chris is like, okay. He takes a key out and opens the door, and he's like, well, that's one way to get in, because he had a key to our establishment. And the best part, when everyone was gone, I have to say to this day, that was probably still one of the coolest memories, to the fact we sat down and we all sat there. No one else is around, just us four. And Bryson and Mayantha is like, let's have a drink and let's just kind of, as us as a team, let's talk about where we're at and what's going on. And I'll never forget, Bryson's like, hey, beer. And they were like, whiskey, bourbon, this. And Mayantha goes, give me something fruity. And we all just lost it. And we're like, Bryson goes, he's pouring a beer, and he's like, Mayantha, we're men here. Like, you want like a bourbon? You want a whiskey Coke? You want to, no, give me something fruity. I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And we're like, Mayantha. And I think that's where it started the trend to even more Jersey bombs.
You going to the girls' bathroom or the boys' bathroom?
Yeah. But I think somewhere, I have to say, somewhere in there, Mayantha created the Mayantha, and to this day, I still don't even know what goes in that drink. But that's,
Hey,
I don't know.
I got Bobby. the reason Bobby fell in love with me because of the Mayantha drink.
There you go, buddy.
Hats off.
Yeah.
Bryson.
Yeah.
Bryson,
so
you go to Maya.
resonate a lot about what Justin said. Overall, it was just such a great experience for me. We got to cultivate so many positive things and watch kids come, and you see them come. And to be completely truthful about it, you see them from a young age, and they are in college for 2 or 3 years longer, and then you see them graduate and go on, and you develop these relationships that have happened. And some of these people, Ken DeGrant was a guy that was a student, came in. He was a Tuesday night regular, and as we go forward in life, Ken DeGrant now is part owner of another bar. He's utilizing his skills that he learned at Jerzees to help him in other avenues, and he's also a realtor. And I have branched out and do a lot of real estate as well. And this guy's been my partner in, I don't know, 4 or 5 properties now. It's just the friends that you make and the networking abilities of it all. It lasts a lifetime. And the memories that were made, I have zero regrets. If I would go back and do it again, certainly I would make certain I would choose differently in a couple of areas, but I don't regret anything that ever happened with Jerzees. We had a great run. I celebrate everybody that came in and out of there. I consider them all dear friends, and would do anything in the world should any of them ever call on me. So I really appreciate the amount of time that we had to do what we did there. And Richmond, I just have to say, I'll call out Dave and Ken. Guys, you guys got your opportunity here. You better do it and do it right. Mayantha, Wags, myself, we're not too old, and we got a vacant Jerzees building on Main Street right now. So don't threaten me with a good time, because we'll do it all over again.
All right, Mayantha, final thoughts.
I loved my 7 years of helping Wags and Bryson run that place. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about business. I did my master's degree while running that place, so it all made sense about what Bryson talked about earlier. And everything that I learned from Jerzees helped me get the job at Paddy Wagon and bartend there and work for Silas and Chuck. And I loved bartending for Silas and Chuck. And so altogether, I have bartended almost 12, maybe 13 years. And if I could go back to just bartending and not have to be a grown up and not have to have a real job, I would just do that if I could. And 2 of my biggest memories are, number 1, meeting my wife, Bobby, and number 2, the day that I introduced or paid matchmaker to Wags and Taylor. And I remember that day, and it was really awkward, and I still do to this day. That was an awkward situation, but I still loved it. Oh, we lost Dan. What happened? Is everything okay? I don't know. Oh.
Hey, Mayantha, tell that story from that night. Remember that one night that you tell that story. You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
No. That's it, guys. I think we lost Dan. And is everything okay?
For what it's worth,
I don't think you actually lost Dan.
Gone.
I think they're just switching pictures every once in a while.
Yeah, they're just switching.
Gotcha.
So you can finish your thought, Mayantha.
No,
what are you drinking? Trulies, anyways. I want to know what's in that white can.
It's busy.
God, it's like
busy.
what are you
it's
like?
Good.
What are you doing with your life, Mayantha? Seriously.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's it. I think we're done. Is it done?
Well, regardless, Bryson, it's been a long time, man. Good seeing you, buddy.
Yeah.
I hope all's well. We
I
haven't
miss
seen
you
each
guys.
other caught up in a long time.
Think about you often. Glad
Yeah.
your business is doing well.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, I sell mattresses now, so if anybody wants a mattress, let me know.
And
Are we in seeing this thing now, or are we in
I want to
charge?
give a
What's
shout
going
out
on?
to Steve-O. And let me tell you what a great
Where's
guy that
Steve-O?
guy is at EKU.
Oh,
I got
hey,
at 9:02. I got a well done.
He's behind the scenes over here talking
Yeah.
smack, you know.
Somebody better talk quick. This is about to get out of control.
Hey, tell Steve and
Don't make me involved this.
All right, guys. Well, I'm hopping off. Bryson, miss you. Wags, miss you. Tell everybody I said hi. Tell mom and dad I said hi. And
Take care, buddy.
All right, bye, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
Peace, guys. Love y'all. Peace.
And we don't know how to get off.